Numbers-wise, you mentioned that a little bit, but with numbers, and I know every sport and every team fluctuates numbers. How's it looking for you guys?
I think we started off around 30. We had some kids that gave it a whirl, and then a couple days into it realized it was probably a little bit more than they anticipated.
Right.
But I mean, hats off to them for trying it. I encourage everybody, especially all of our football players, I encourage them all to come out. It's one of those sports that really go hand in hand. That I know our new football coach is really impressing me with the drive that he's putting into these kids, and I want to help him out as much as we can. Selfishly, I've got my kids on the football team, and my other son will be on the football team. So I want to see the program going in the direction that he has anticipated. So I'm excited for that. And, I mean, trying to get those football players out on the team, and then we've got a couple other new kids that have never tried it, just decided to come out. So numbers are pretty good. I think we're hovering around 24, 25 right now. Our goal every year is to be in that 25 to 30 range.
Right.
For me personally, anything over that, I feel like we really can't focus on the kids enough. So that's kind of a good spot for us. But I'm always willing to take more.
Right.
But yeah, so we're doing pretty good this year.
And you look at, and you mentioned the kids that they hadn't wrestled before and they come out and they want to give it a shot. What kind of approach do you take with kids kind of with no experience?
Well, you have to look at what their athletic background is. I mean, we've got one kid on the team, Lewis Humes, who's never wrestled. I take that back. He's never wrestled a live match, but he came to a couple club practices last year. And then he's like, man, I really like this.
Right.
But he's so athletic, such a good football player. A lot of those same skills, and that's one of the things that when I say they go hand in hand, a lot of those skills he learns in football are translated. And I mean, if you watch him wrestle, you're like, no, there's no way this kid's only wrestled for like 2 months. And then you have other kids that just have never done any sport that come out. So those are the kids you really have to focus on and break everything down Barney style and really try to feed them spoonfuls at a time. And so you just have to see what type of individual you're dealing with personally. But yeah, certain kids pick it up a lot quicker than others.
You get to the end of the season last year, and then you got off season. What do you do in the off season?
Well, we have Club Madison, and so that kicks off. Well, and we have different age groups of it. So technically, our Club Madison started the same time our high school did because we've got elementary age kids that are doing that. So it's already full go, but then once the high school season gets over, then kids, if they're in track and they have spare time and they want to come do some meets like on a Sunday or whatnot, we do practice a couple days a week. It's just it's a more open, fun environment. I mean, they can wrestle as much or as little as they want during that time period. I mean, you can wrestle, just come to practice if you want, or like my son does, just go every weekend if you want to go somewhere, go different states. I mean, the options for our club season are vary drastically. So it's up to the individual how much they want to put into it.
You spend a lot of time in the weight room?
Yeah, so 3 days a week, and this is what I was talking to Jay about this, who's our strength coach, and a lot of sports don't like really to be in the weight room during season lifting heavy, but I mean, I've told Jay our goal is 3 days a week strength, so we try to stay in there for an hour on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then hopefully the guys are in the room 5 days a week, 6 days a week in the off season to put the mass on. Because I mean, for our wrestlers, if they're a football player and they come up for wrestling, they will drastically probably lose a little bit of weight because the amount of effort and time consuming that wrestling takes compared to a football, where the plays only a couple seconds or a practice only a couple seconds. We do 6-minute interval training sessions repetitively over the course of our practice. So like my son wants to keep putting weight on, or we've got another kid, Trenton Stockdale, who wants to keep putting weight on. So I tell him, like, you need to eat a lot because it's a calorie consuming sport. So you just have to know your bodies, and so we want those strength levels to go up even though their body fat might be dropping.
You know, and we talked about this over the course of the years when we've talked on interviews and shows and things about making weight, body weight, the fluctuation, how difficult, how easy it is to get kids in the right weight class?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed a lot from when I was in school. I would come in on Mondays like in the 60s and wrestle 152. The days of that happening are behind us. And I always joke with kids, I go, if you want a body like me or my former coach Ray Black, then you're going to cut a lot of weight, and then your metabolism is going to be totally screwed up by the time you're our age, and you're going to look like you ate the person you were in high school. But now we've got so many checks and balances. I mean, we have body fat testing, hydration testing, and it kind of gives you where you need to be, and you can only lose this much weight a week. So we have kids trimming a little bit off, but I mean, for the most part, kids come in close to their weight, and that's kind of where they pick it.
Coach, let's, you mentioned something I kind of want you to go back and reflect on about the way the sport has changed. Sports changed since you wrestled to where it is now. How much and why?
Well, I mean, things always change for the better.
Sure.
I mean, as a coach, I don't think they change for the better because now I have more paperwork.
Right.
Paperwork sucks. But, I mean, there's always checks and balances as the sports grows and improves. So, like back when I was in school, you had to make weight so many times, and as long as you made weight, that was it.
Yeah.
So they really didn't check what you started the season at to what you were now. So, I mean, you have those. And so I think that's a good addition to our sport. We've gotten kind of a bad rep in years past about kids, like, drastically cutting. I tell you, some of the kids that probably cut the most weight for us are the, oh, man, we got some behind me.
That's
here.
right.
The ones that actually cut the most weight for us are heavyweights.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've got one kid that it probably has like 26% body fat, and he started off at heavy, and now he's like below 220.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's not going to hurt him to lose that weight.
Right.
So, yeah, for the most part, we're pretty good.
Talk about this season. We haven't jumped into that. What's your record now?
20-1.
20-1. It's a good start to a season, indeed.
Yes, yeah. I mean, coming into the year, we had a good crew of freshmen coming in. We had everybody back from last year's team that really wrestled the entire season. I was super excited, but I wasn't sure what to anticipate. I mean, you never know where everybody's going to fall weight class-wise. So, I mean, it is a pleasant surprise on where we're at, but it was something that I thought we could do.
And thinking you can do it and seeing them do it, of course, are two different things. So for them to come out and prove it to you, it's got to be feeling good for a coach.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple, like our Columbus North match last year, they destroyed us. I mean, it was 60-21, I think. They beat us last year. And we came out, and one of our things I love so much about this team is we've come together. The energy level is so high. Our teammates, all the team is supporting everybody on the mat no matter what, and that really pays dividends. These kids feed off that when they're on the mat, and we pulled out I think, probably one of our better complete top-to-bottom wrestling matches of the season with that win over Columbus North this year.
Talk about you got 20 wins, but talk about your one loss. What was going on there?
Well, we wrestled Seymour. Honestly, if we had the full lineup together, I think we would have won that one. On that weekend, we split our team up, so it's tough to get JV matches in this area. So what I've come up with is, I personally didn't come up with, a lot of teams do this, but we do a V2 squad. So our kids that might be reserve, we'll plug them in, but we'll get a varsity schedule for them. And then sometimes we'll intermix some other varsity kids in with them just to make it competitive, or if there's matchups we want to see some of those other varsity kids have at the other place, then we'll do that. So on that weekend we had duel down at Jeff, and then we had the one at Scottsburg. So we split it up. We had our normal varsity heavyweight down at Jeff. Normal 45 was there. Normal 13 was down there. So, and we only lost by 8 points at Scottsburg to them. And there was a couple of our kids that lost were kids that weren't normally in the starting lineup. So, we will wrestle them again at the Shaddy. So I completely expect a totally different outcome for that, to avenge that loss.
You talked about the north wind, but talk about some other matches this season that's kind of struck you as being a real positive win for the program?
Well, like I said, yeah, the Columbus North one was really big. Going to Bedford, six-way, we pulled off some nice ones there. We lost to New Albany last year, and we completely destroyed them this year. That was a really good turnaround for us.
Right.
Also, I would say our Friday night quads was a good one for us because for a lot of those kids, it was their first multi-team event, all of our freshmen. And then, of course, our Battle for the Paddle with Southwestern.
Right.
I mean, that's always a high energy first meet of the season for the entire state.
Right.
So we kick off the whole wrestling season for the state of Indiana, and the kids they're always pumped for that one, and that is the first varsity experience for all those freshmen. So that was another big one, and they've got two kids, or actually three kids. I know they've got a semi-state qualifier and a couple of the regional qualifiers, I think, on that roster. So some of our individuals had some really quality wins in that night.
You want to talk a little bit about your squads? Mention some of your kids, your seniors. How many seniors you have?
Yeah, I brought the two seniors with me today. We've got two, Tucker Adams, who's a returning semi-state qualifier at 220, and then Jacob McRoberts, who probably will be a semi-state, if not better, qualifier this year at 126. Both of them are strong leaders in the room. I know Tucker actually is one of those kids that I'm not wrestling, I'm wrestling, I'm not wrestling, I'm wrestling. And over the course of the last 2 years have really bought in. So we're happy to have him around. He's a really good leader. Jacob is a kid that very squirrely, I will say would be the best word to describe him. A very feisty wrestler. Has come a long way over the course of his career at the high school level. I know his freshman year, I mean, he had a pretty good freshman year. Was on, I think, on some of the records for freshman records, but was in a lighter weight, got a lot of forfeits, and has really grown as a wrestler over the course of his career. And I mean, I go through and look at some of the pics that are posted or that people take, and 9 times out of 10 I see these two like up cheering the guys on, being the cheerleaders when they're not on the mat wrestling, and that's one of the things that we look for in good leaders.
So only 2 seniors this year?
Only 2 seniors.
So the future continues to look bright.
Yeah, I mean, I say we're young, and people are like, "How, you say you're young every year?" I go, well, I know. We haven't, like, the last couple classes have been really thin, so yeah, we only had 1 senior last year. We would have had a lot more, but Dante decided to focus on track, and then we had several others just who were regional qualifiers for one reason or another. The senior year decided, I'm going to take a break and just enjoy high school.
A couple seniors in with us, Coach. You kind of mentioned these guys just a minute ago, but having seniors, it's pretty special to a coach.
Yeah, I mean, especially ones that have put forth a lot of effort, and like these guys have really dedicated themselves to it, and I mean, those type of individuals that have really given themselves to the sport and become integral to the history of our program are special. And we'll be honoring these guys at the Shaddy. That's when we used to do senior night at Duels, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what, Shaddy is a special meet for us. We'll just start doing senior night at Shaddy. So they'll get their honors and hopefully go out with a nice win there at the Shaddy.
All right. Tucker, pick up the mic. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
You wrestle because?
I started wrestling in junior high because football was my main sport, and I was like, I need to find a way to stay in shape over the winter.
Right.
And so I picked up wrestling, and it really just evolved into football as my secondary sport and wrestling as my true, like, the sport I really love.
Has it been a benefit doing both wrestling and football? I mean, do they go hand in hand? I've heard that they do. I assume that they do because it's all encouraged. Coaches encourage football players to wrestle and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. Being in football, and I've played football since I was in 3rd grade, and being an offensive lineman especially, wrestling has really taught me how to move other people's weight and how to block well and just use my own body so much better. You just have so much more body control as a wrestler. It's just one of the first things you learn as an instinct is just to control your own body, and it's perfect for other sports.
Do you find wrestling more of a challenge than football?
Yeah, I do. which football is a great sport, and it's a team sport. And obviously Madison has had a tough run of it with a lot of hard competition. But as a wrestler, being an individual sport, you really get to test who you are. And it's more challenging because if you lose, it's all on you.
Right.
And it shows who you are on the mat, and you're the only one out there.
You have a kind of a highlight so far in your wrestling career?
Yeah, for sure. Last year, at regionals to qualify for semi-state, the match I had to win against Jeff's 220, Ethan Rogers, was a really tough match for me. And I was getting beat pretty bad and ended up coming back and pinning him to qualify for semi-state, and it was really exciting.
What do you have to do? What are you going to have to do personally to advance in the tournament this year?
Personally, I think I just need to keep working my technique. I think I need to try to stay healthy, stay off the injuries so much, and I think I need to work on my shot, and I think that'll help me become a better wrestler and advance in the tournament.
You have plans after high school yet for college?
Yeah, I am either probably going to go to Ball State or Indiana University. I don't really plan on wrestling there.
Right.
It's a little high level for me. But wrestling is also always going to be something I'm gonna want to be involved with.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Jacob, good morning. Move on over.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Why do you take up wrestling? Why do you wrestle?
Well, I didn't really find nothing to do after school in junior high, so someone was talking to me about wrestling. I got involved in it in 6th grade, then somewhat 7th and 8th grade I did it, and through high school. Then 10th grade came, and I was off and on in 10th grade. But ever since 6th grade, I was off and on with it, and this really caught me in high school.
Why do you like it so much?
Helps me get my anger out.
Well, that's a good way to do
Teaches
that.
me a lot.
Yeah, that's a good way to do that. What's the kind of a challenge for you in wrestling? What do you have to do to improve yourself?
I say really just work on my technique. I feel like I don't have the best of technique. My shots, like Tucker's, I don't feel like they're the greatest.
Do you do something, I mean, obviously you have a strong point in wrestling. What do you do well?
I say I'm good at taking down and slamming.
Yeah, and slamming.
Yeah.
That's good. That's indeed good. What do you think you're going to have to do to advance in the tournament?
Definitely work on my shots and my technique on bottom and top. That's really what I need right now. And I feel like that'll help me get through a lot.
You have plans after high school yet?
Yeah, I might be going to a gent, new core up in gent for welding. So.
All right, cool, good. Thanks for being here this morning. Coach, again, every coach loves their seniors, and got a couple of good ones here that apparently are very locked in and dedicated to the program.
Yeah, they are very good leaders. Like I said earlier, we've got so many young kids, and on this team, a lot of freshmen that are. I want them to learn the right way the first time instead of the wrong way.
Sure.
So they're very good leaders and teaching them what we expect.
What's the schedule hold for the Cubs? I know you mentioned the Shaddy, but what's on the schedule for Madison?
A new meet to our schedule is way up in Jay County.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so they had an opening and tons of teams that we have never wrestled against, so I thought it'd be an awesome experience for some of these kids. So we'll split up and kind of send some kids to the Jeff Classic and then send some kids up north to the Jay County meet. And then we come back for our annual holiday tournament, 12-team tournament, Cub Classic, 2 days on January 3rd and 4th. Then we'll host our last home meet, which will be our Nick Shaddy Memorial the following Saturday. And I believe, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I believe we have conference maybe right after that.
Right.
And we're hosting conference this year.
Oh, good.
Yeah, finally. After
Yeah.
3 years of being told we're going to host conference, we finally are hosting conference.
Right.
That coach down at Jeffersonville keeps stealing it from me, Danny Struck.
Yeah.
If you're watching this. So then we'll host conference, then we'll finish out with a duel at New Wash, and then travel to Milan for, we'll take our V2 team up to Milan to wrestle I think it's a 5-way that they have up there.
Tougher the matches, the better you are. And that's,
Exactly.
And you mentioned the Jay County tournament, and again, given the kids' experience, kind of outside the area, it's good for them.
Yeah, and so it's all Fort Wayne, Muncie area schools. So if we are to see any of these guys once a state tournament comes around, it won't be
Right.
until state,
Right.
because they all feed into separate semi-states. So, I mean, there are some strong teams there. Some kids could draw studs, and it could end up being like a Friday night match for
Right.
them. So then that'll give them a little bit of exposure to those guys.
Right. Again, Coach, 20-1 on the season. It's been an outstanding season so far, but a lot of season left too.
Yeah, I try to tell our young guys, and these guys, of course, know it because they hear the spiel every year.
Sure.
But I try to tell them, like, the early part of the season, though, there are some tough matches in there, but when we start getting into the meat of it with the holiday tournament, it's a different animal.
Right.
So you learn more from your losses than you do your wins.
Sure.
And the guys just need to be able to understand, if when you take a loss, you have to be able to rebound from it, learn why you got that loss, and not shut down completely and quit growing as an athlete.
Coach, we appreciate you coming in this morning.
All right, thank you.
All right, again, Tyson Skinner stopping by. Of course, his seniors here as well, Jacob and and Tucker. Get ready to sneeze. Nope.
Held it.
No, I held it somehow. That's it for this edition of Coach's Corner, live from McDonald's on Madison's Hilltop. For AJ Brameroom Studio, I'm Tim Torrance here on WORX 96.7.